high refresh rate gaming monitors. Are they worth it? There are so many different ones. Which one is best for you? Well, let's find out in today's quick tip. Hey guys, Tiago here with Classical Technology. Thank you for joining me for another video. Remember to leave a comment. I want to know what type of gaming monitor you guys are using, what you plan to get in the future. Like the video and remember to subscribe. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a few different high refresh rate monitors and if they're worth it. Now let's start with the 1080p 240Hz refresh rate monitor. Who's this monitor for? Well, it's going to be for competitive FPS high-end gamers. It doesn't have the best visual qualities because it's usually a little bit bland compared to like an IPS panel or something like that. So you don't have to spend a whole ton. But if you're a competitive gamer, 240Hz is where you want to be at. Some monitors I have used and recommend in this segment are going to be the Alienware and BenQ 240Hz monitor. Alienware has a G-Sync version and one without G-Sync. For a monitor with a refresh rate this high, you don't really need G-Sync if you have a GPU that can power it. So I would save the money and get the regular version or the BenQ version, which they use in esports tournaments all the time. Now, if you can up your budget a little bit and you're not a competitive gamer, 1440p 144Hz refresh rate is going to be ideal. Most graphics cards are going to be able to drive these monitors without issue. They're going to look beautiful because these are generally an IPS panel. You can also get TN with a little bit lower latency of 1 millisecond. Generally, the IPS panels are going to have about a 4 millisecond response rate, such as the one from Asus, which can be overclocked to 165Hz refresh rate. But I would definitely go for the IPS panel. And as long as you have a decent graphics card, you do need something a little beefier than a budget graphics card. You'll be fine powering this monitor. It really is sort of the sweet spot where things look great, it performs really well. A lot of people even use it for like competitive gaming too, because 165Hz is not that bad. And these monitors aren't really priced too obscenely high. And you can take a look at a couple ones from Asus and Acer or any of the popular ones on the market, and you should do pretty good. A lot of these monitors will come with G-Sync, so in case your GPU can't quite hit that 144Hz, the G-Sync enabled monitor, if you're using NVIDIA or AMD, if you're using FreeSync, will sort of help keep everything smooth and prevent any issues, but competitive gamers should likely turn that off and just try to get the highest frames possible. Now the last category of monitors are sort of the premium monitors, and these of course are also going to be high refresh rate. You have your ultra-wide monitors. I've used and really liked the Alienware 34-inch ultra-wide monitor. Now the resolution is not quite 4K, but it's sort of in between 1440p and 4K. It looks awesome. The biggest factor here is going to be sort of that wide open angle where, let's say if you're playing a game like Battlefield 5, you can really see the battlefield. You have a really nice field of view. Plus, generally, these are going to be IPS and the panels are really, really good. There's a couple from Asus, from Acer, Alienware. They're all pretty good, and some of them you can even catch on sale now if you're not buying the high-end HDR model, which is over $2,000 still. So for the ultra-wide monitor, generally GPUs can drive these a lot better than for say like a 4K monitor, but just remember you're still going to need a decent GPU like a 2060, 2070 in order to have a really nice experience, or even a 5700 XT, but most of them will get you at least 100 Hz or maybe 120 Hz, so that's some pretty good performance. And to round out the end of the spectrum are going to be the 4K high refresh monitors. Now this is my favorite because I feel 4K just looks incredibly good. Of course, there isn't that big of a difference between 4K and 1440p in everyday use, but after you've experienced 4K, HDR, high refresh rate, and of course, unfortunately, the high prices, these monitors are absolutely like bonkers. They're really, really nice. Now, I wouldn't recommend everybody buy these, but if you have a powerful GPU like a 2080 or 2080 Ti, you really need a monitor like this if you enjoy the visual experience and just eking out every little bit of visual aesthetics that you can get out of it. And some of these 4K monitors have gone down in price tremendously. When they first came out, the high refresh rate ones, they were $2,000. Now, you can get something like the Acer Predator, one of the versions that has the 400 nit HDR instead of 1000 nit HDR. You can get something like that for well under $1,000. They've been hovering around $700 or $800, which for a 4K 144 Hz HDR monitor is incredible. It's not $2,000, and it's only a couple of $100 more than a comparable 1440p monitor. Now, the only caveat here is make sure you have a GPU that can really drive this. If you're a competitive gamer, I still would steer you towards a 1080p 240 Hz monitor. I think that's where really the competitive, esports is at. Maybe 1440p in 165 Hz you can get away with. 4K, not as good for competitive gaming, just because you can't really hit that many high refresh rates. Even like a 2080 Ti can only go so far on 4K. You can get beautiful playable performance, but if you want the utmost frames, definitely you got to step down a little bit to a 240 Hz monitor. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on different monitors and refresh rates. This was just a quick tip. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment. I want to know what monitor you guys are using. Remember to like a video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.